But when you have people that are really from very different cultures and it's like, oh, you do your thing, I'll do mine. No, but in a family, it doesn't work that way. In a family, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. Okay, but when we come together for events, you want to do your thing from 9 to 5 at work. Okay, but in terms of culture and family and religion and background and future, we have to be aligned in building a future together.
Hello, Tikuners! Welcome to our first ever Tikun Talks episode in English. I'm beyond excited to bring you this heart-opening conversation with the one and only Aleeza Ben Shalom, known worldwide as the Jewish Matchmaker, and star of the Netflix series by the same name. Aleeza is much more than a matchmaker. She's a relationship coach, a soulful connector, and the visionary behind a global movement that's reigniting the art and essence of Jewish matchmaking. With over 250 successful matches and more than 300 matchmakers and coaches trained under her guidance, Aleeza's impact reaches hearts and homes across continents. In this heartfelt episode, we dive deep into Aleeza's personal tikkun, her journey of purpose, healing, and the ripple effect of her own mission in the world, achieving tikkun olam by amplifying love one couple at a time. Aleeza shares her own story of dating and marriage and the beautiful path that led her and her family to fulfill their dream of making Aliyah. We also open important conversations about identity, diversity, and conversion. And please listen all the way through. Aleeza's final insight about soulmates and tikkun, about how we develop our own correction within the couple, is absolutely breathtaking. Let's be inspired by Aleeza, a global Jewish leader who reminds us that love isn't just destiny. It is a choice, a calling, and a match made in purpose, in Tikun.
Aleeza, welcome to Mexico. Bienvenida.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Gracias.
Thank you for taking your agenda in Mexico, a time to be here to talk with us at Tikun Talks. And let's get straight to the point. So, you have already taken to the chuppah more than 200 happy Jewish families. That's like the main materialization of a very deep tikkun that you have. How do you verbalize it? How do you define or describe your tikkun?
It's such a good question. I feel this very strong calling to bring couples together and to make matches and make marriages. More than making a match, make marriages and help people to build beautiful families of all ages, all stages. You could be 18, you could be 89, anywhere in between, I don't care. I just feel such a strong pull to bring people together. I think I would say to be a connector. Like my goal is to be a connector and make that introduction and help people have the clarity. Who am I? Who are you? How do we work together? And is this the right fit? And if it is, yes, please get married. If it's not, please do not get married. Please only choose the right person for you.
So you go along the way with couples, like you coach them.
Yes.
One side, the one that hires you as a matchmaker, and then you find the other half, or however you call, how do you call it? Like the match?
The other half, the match. My husband jokes. He's like, you're the matchmaker, I'm the match. That's
exactly.
That's what I said. That's such a gorgeous line. But yeah, I work with one side and then we help them find the match, or sometimes we just do coaching to ready them to meet somebody, and we go through a whole process, and then often at the end of that process, they go into the world, they start meeting, and then within, 6 months, a year, they find their person.
So it's a lot of personal coaching that you do.
A lot.
A lot. Life coaching. More than dating and matchmaking. You help the person also to feel better about themselves.
That people need to understand really what is their tikkun, what is their purpose in this world, who are they? And then how do you figure out how to find that partner that's going to match who they are. But first, do you know who you are?
Exactly.
If you don't know who you are, then how can I can't match you. I can't. If you're not clear, I won't be able to see and know what the other side looks like.
When you married your husband, did you know who you were when you met your husband?
So if you ask me, compared to who I am today, did I know that this was the person I was going to become back then? No. But did I know who I was? Yes, and, right? I think that I knew who I was, and I knew what I loved and appreciated about myself, and I had a vision of where I wanted to go in life. So, and I talk a lot about this, what I would call past, present, and future. Who was I? Who am I? And who do I want to be? And for some people, it's the same, right? Like how I grew up, that's how I am today, that's how I want to be in the future, that's one path. And for other people, how I grew up, that's one thing, who I am today, oh, that's a different thing, who I want to be, woo, that's going to be even a different thing. And I have similarities to how I grew up in my childhood and all of that, but I also have things that are very different. And who I wanted to be and how I wanted to build a family was different than how I was raised.
For Gershon, ever since you met, you knew you had that future vision in common?
That was something that we had very much in common. We also both grew up more secular and became more observant in our 20s and 30s.
Okay.
And I loved my Judaism. I talk a lot about I loved my Judaism, but I wasn't living it. Like It wasn't
enough for you.
It wasn't enough just being Jewish. Like, yay, you're Jewish. Okay, but what do you do about it? So as I learned more, I was like, well, I like Shabbat. I think I'll do Shabbat. So I started to do Shabbat. And I like learning. So I started to learn a little bit of Torah and reading and prayer. Oh, prayer's good. I like God. We're close, God and I. So I should probably pray and, open my heart. Okay, that's good. And like, what else? What are the other rules? What are the other things that are out there that I don't know about? And anything that I didn't know, I started to learn. I remember going on Barnes and Noble and typing in Jewish Orthodox woman, and I reviewed all the books that came up, and I bought 20 books that I thought were like with authentic, real content because I wanted to learn more about Judaism, and I read everything.
Wow. That was in your early 20s?
That was in my early 20s.
You were in college?
I was after college, and I was going on an exploration of who am I? What is the meaning of life? What is the purpose? I talked to my mom. I said, I don't get it. This was about the meaning of life. I said, so what is it with the meaning of life? Like, you eat, you sleep, you work, you go on vacation, you spend time with family, and then you die. Like, that's it. Like, but I did everything. I eat, I sleep, I work, I spend time with family. I'm good. Like, I think I graduated from life. What else am I supposed to do?
Right.
She's like, no, you have to get married. When you get married, you'll have a family, and then you'll see. I said, no, I have a family, even if I have my own family. Okay, but it's the same thing. I already have a family. That can't be all that there is. It's not the only thing. What else is there? And she said she didn't have a good answer. like that's it. That's the answer. And I said, well, it's not enough. There's meaning, there's purpose, and what's my purpose?
That's what we talk about in here.
So I went on a hunt for my purpose because I really didn't know what my purpose was. And really, in truth, the only thing that I wanted to do, like if you say, Aleeza, what did you want to be when you grew up? I had no plans. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I went to university. I got a degree. I designed my own major and a little of this and a little of that, but I didn't...
You never imagined you would become the Jewish matchmaker.
No. I didn't know matchmaking was a job.
Exactly.
And I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to get married and I wanted to have children. And those were the top 2 priorities in my life: get married, have children, and then I was going to figure everything else out. And that's what I did. And I made my mission in life to have a family because I wasn't pursuing a passion of doing something in the world. There wasn't anything else that I was more passionate about than family.
Okay.
I mean, my mom was right. Like, family, you'll see. It is really, for me, purpose in life and meaning and everything.
When you met him the first time, you felt that?
No.
He's the one?
No. So when I met him at the retreat, he was showing everybody, he had like a photo album of Israel because he had traveled to Israel years ago, and he had photos of all different buildings and places, a few with him, and a lot of cats. Apparently he likes cats. I don't know. And it was nice photos, but I was like, I've been to Israel. I have photos. Like, I wasn't particularly impressed. Not that he was trying to impress, but I was like, okay, so you have photos. That's nice. And he seemed like a nice guy, but there wasn't anything in that moment. It was more after that moment. Like when we went back to Philadelphia, I went to another friend that I had met at the retreat also. They invited me for Shabbat. And he was there because he was best friends with the husband. And then we went to another event for Purim, and he was there. And then we went to another retreat, and it was
Hashem.
It was
knocking
Hashem.
on your door,
Yeah, like I
saying,
kept,
he's the one.
Right. So we were driving to a retreat in Connecticut, and it was on that ride that I was like, oh, there might be something here. And things kind of like, that was the first thought that then came in my head. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we went back to Philadelphia and started dating shortly after that. And then very early on we didn't date for very long before we got engaged. We dated for 3 weeks, and then we got engaged. And 4 months later, we got married. So our whole dating relationship period was a 5-month period until marriage.
Okay.
So once we started dating, that was crystal clear. But before that, when I first met him, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, he's the one. But when we started dating, I was like, oh, that's my person.
It flowed.
It flowed.
I'm thinking from the standpoint of the matchmaking business. Like you met at a singles retreat.
Yes. Yes.
So there's something there.
Yes.
Then there was no matchmaker, there was no coach, but it just flowed.
So he brought in his rabbi. Like we started to date, and he said, go talk to my rabbi. And I was like, I don't want to talk to your rabbi. I want to talk to you.
Exactly.
I don't want to talk to him. I don't know him. He's like, no, just go talk to him. I was like, why? He's like, here's his number, talk to him. So I went to talk to the rabbi. He's asking, who I am and what's the story. And I was, because I grew up secular and I became observant and met my husband in a very similar time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people said like, oh, you became religious for him. I said, I didn't become religious for him. I did it was for me. Mm-hmm. And I happened to meet him at a very similar timing. So the rabbi wanted to make sure, like, was I religious? Was I secular? What direction was I going? And because everything was very new, it all happened very quickly and at the same time. So I checked in with the rabbi. I was like, listen, I don't know how all these things work, but like, this is like my guy. This is like the one, and like however long it takes, that's fine, whatever. I was like, I'm not waiting forever, but like whatever it is.
You had something that was very clear. You were very Zionist. You had a vision that you were going to do Aliyah.
Yes.
And you told him like on the first dates, this is going to happen?
Well, we only dated for 3 weeks, so yeah, in the beginning of dating,
on the first date,
in the first couple of dates, right, we talked about Israel, and I said, do you want to make Aliyah? Do you want to move to Israel one day? And he said, yes. And I said, when? Right? This is not like no BS, no nonsense. He said, like whenever the time is right. I said, no, like I need a timeline. And I said, what do you think? He said, maybe in 10 years. Like, we'll get married and we'll go in 10 years. I said, 10 years is too long. I said, 5 years. He said, 5 years is too short. I said, okay, 7 years. He said, okay, we can get married. So we made plans to make Aliyah 7 years from when we got married. And we didn't.
From the plan to the reality? How many years?
18 years later, we made Aliyah. So we were 11 years late.
Okay.
Jewish Standard Time, we run late. But we actually spoke with our rabbi at the time about making Aliyah and about everything that it takes to do that. And we decided that it wasn't the right time. It was very sad. It was very hard. There were many, many things that weren't in alignment. And we said, okay, for right now, we have no active plans of Aliyah. If the world changes, if we see signs of the Messiah, Moshiach being on the road to being here and much more clear signs, we're going to go immediately. And until then, we're going to just put it on pause. It's not the right time.
What was the trigger that made you decide to do Aliyah?
So my mom passed away in 2016, and I 6 months later went to Israel and I did a trip. And I just reconnected, and I was like, okay, we're supposed to be here. We're not here yet. It was a very emotional time. And I said, I really want to come. But I went back to America and I said, okay, it's not the right time. 2 years later, I did another trip just by myself for 2 or 3 weeks to Israel. I think it was 2 weeks even. And I was like, oh my gosh, if we don't go soon, within the next year or two, we're going to miss the moment because our oldest children will be out of high school. You go that, you miss it. Like my oldest kids have to be in high school and get a little bit of an Israeli experience and then do the army. And then we'll all be Israeli, we'll figure it out. And we were running out of time. So I had a plan. I came back and I said to my husband, we have to go 2019. We have to make Aliyah by 2019 because our oldest will be going into 10th grade and he needs to at least join high school. You can either start in 9th or 10th grade in Israel. Wow. So in 10th grade, I said, we have to go. And it wasn't the right time. And I like, okay. I said, okay, God, I'm giving this up to you. I don't know when the right time is, but I have to do everything in my power to make it the right time. So I applied with Nefesh B'Nefesh, which helps you to make Aliyah and move there. And I said, I'm going to put the paperwork in. There's nothing on my end that I haven't done. I spoke to my children. I spoke to my husband. I talked to my rabbi. I talked to my friends. I talked to everybody. And I applied.
Okay.
I applied. And they said, when do you want to make Aliyah? And the choice was like, in the next 6 months, in the next 2 years, or I don't know when. I was like, I need the box that says, I didn't tell my husband I filled out the paperwork. But I filled out the paperwork. So I said, whatever, I don't know when I'm making Aliyah. I checked the I don't know box. They called me 2 days later. I'm in shock. I just put paperwork in, just stop. They said, now listen, if you would like to make Aliyah, here's what you have to do it. Here's the other forms. You did the first step, now you have to do step 2. And I was like, okay. They're like, when
you have to talk to them.
When are you coming? When are you coming? And they're like, you're coming in like 2 years? And I was like, yes. Yes, that sounds good. Sure. I mean, I don't, my husband's not on board. My children aren't on board. But yes, I would like to come in 2 years. Good. Do this. I said, okay. And
you were manifesting.
I was manifesting.
In all sorts of ways.
I was really manifesting. 3 weeks after I put in that application, we were at a Shabbat meal, a community Shabbat meal, and I said, oh, we're in public. This is a good time. I'll tell him now instead of in private at home. So I said, I just wanted to tell you, I put in the paperwork to make Aliyah for Nefesh B'Nefesh. And he said, yeah, good. He's like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, if we go, we go. If we don't, we don't. Just because you put in paperwork, it doesn't mean you're going. I said, you're right. It doesn't mean anything. But I just had to do my part and say to God, I did my part. You open the door when the door is supposed to open. Good. We were fine. Everything was fine. That was the fall of 2019. And then COVID happened in 2020. And then I said to my husband in June of 2020, now, we have to go now. They locked Israel, they closed it. You can't fly in. The only people that could maybe get in were Israelis. I said, when they lock a Jew out of Israel, we have to be in. I want to get locked in, not locked out. We have to go now. It is unacceptable for a Jew to be locked out of Israel. We have to make Aliyah. He said, can you define now? I said, well, Nefesh B'Nefesh said it'll take at least 6 to 8 months to get all the paperwork in, really to do the paperwork. He said, okay, maybe we'll go next summer. I said, no, too long. As soon as the paperwork's in, we have to go. So from June of 2020 until March of 2021, it took about 8 months and we made Aliyah.
Wow.
We landed in Israel a year into COVID. We landed and they said, Bruchim Habaim, welcome to Israel. You can go into quarantine. Bye. And that's how we entered Israel. That's like, you think about your dream Aliyah, you finally, after 18 years, you want to live in Israel.
You did it in the middle of COVID.
In the middle of COVID, and we went to a quarantine hotel and stayed there until we could get out. There were no flight. Our flight from America was a rescue mission.
Wow.
A private donor paid for the plane. It was rented by it was an El Al plane, but a private donor paid to fly that plane over. No other planes were flying, and they said, if you do not take this flight, we do not know if you will get there before Pesach because there are no other flights scheduled. You can take this plane now or not. That's it. And I don't know who this donor is, but I would like to thank them because I wouldn't have gotten there. And it was amazing and a miracle that we were able to get there.
It's a real miracle.
It was a true miracle.
It also talks about your such a deep Jewish and Zionist neshama that you really wanted it. And there were all these delays. and things that happened, and you manifested, and you did all that was possible in your hands, so that with the help of Hashem and all of the other factors, it happened.
Yes.
But it's from here, it's from the soul.
It was from the soul. And I also felt when I filled out that paperwork and I said to God, I really said, I want to go. I don't know what else to do, right? I talked to everybody, I did everything, I lined everything up, but it's not me. If it's just me, I can go tomorrow. It's not me, I have a family. So to get them on board, I don't know when and how to do that. I've tried and it's not working. So I'm just gonna do the last thing that I could think of to do. And then I'm gonna obviously pray, give tzedakah, like do all the traditional things that we can do. But this is the last physical thing that I could think of doing, which was actually submitting the paperwork. And then once I did that, I felt like, okay, there's really nothing left on my plate. I actually had a girlfriend for a decade. For 10 years, she said to me, just fill out the paperwork and when you're ready to go, you'll go. But at least you'll have started the process, because it's a long process of doing the paperwork and it takes time. So just start with the paperwork. And I never did until that moment. And then from then until when we made Aliyah was about 1 year and 2 months, which is incredible. I was like, if I would have known that, I would have submitted that paperwork so much sooner. Why did I wait? But I did everything else.
It happened.
It was the way it needed to happen.
What you just said, the physical and the spiritual.
Yeah.
So let's go to the spiritual side. How did that help shape your way into your tikkun?
So I think that my Judaism was something that was always a calling for me. I loved being Jewish. I love the Jewish people. I love all of the things that we learn about, all of, like connection and prayer and Friday night dinners and just all of the things that lit me up on the inside all had to do with Judaism. And it also seemed that all of those things center around family, right? Even though there's communal things and there's, friend things, but it all comes from a root of family. And at the root of that family is a couple that comes together. And that, when you build a couple, then you build a community. And when you build a community, then you build the world. And so to me, it all came down to that. And I also saw my family. I saw my parents who were married, my grandparents on both sides who got married, stayed married, worked hard to build a relationship. And all of those things for me were very meaningful, and I didn't find or see anything else in the world that seemed to be more meaningful than Judaism and family. And to me, I didn't want anything other than being married, right? Like I wanted to get married and have children, Great, but what do you want to be when you grow up? I don't know, I just want to get married and have children. And then it was like, oh, you could be a matchmaker, and then you can help other people get married and have children. Like the mission that you had for yourself is the mission that you have for other people. Also, this tikkun, this purpose, and everything that you want to do in the world, what you wanted to do for yourself, you've done. And now you want to just help, replicate it and help other people to do it. And it just very organically came together. You don't really learn about, maybe modern day, you learn about matchmakers, but it's not something you learn in school. There's no degree or education. You can go for social work or therapy, or like there's a lot of things you could do, but it's not like you go to school and it's like,
career.
Rick, would you like to become a matchmaker? We have a course for you. I now have a course because nobody had anything and there was nothing available to train people. So I had to bring that to my work so that we could also train and have more matchmakers. But I feel that matchmaking is a calling. And
you know what? I'm also a matchmaker.
Yes.
I love it. I truly integrated with my tikkun of being a networker in terms of, from a professional standpoint, I love matching people. If they're looking for a job or looking for a provider or looking for whatever, it just happens. People call me and I make the matches and I cross paths and people and ideas. But also in terms of matches and dating, my husband and I, we were a match that someone did.
That somebody made.
Our one non-Jewish friend.
That knew 2 Jewish people and brought them together. I love it.
That was beautiful.
I love it.
The way we met, and it's also from Mina Shamayim. And ever since, me and my husband have been looking to bring more matches into the world, to give back the favor of the universe or of Hashem. So I've been doing matchmaking very informally. I have my list.
It's the best. It's the best. I think that everybody needs to be a matchmaker. It's not just matchmakers professionally that need to do this work, but anybody can make a match. We do it professionally. If you eat at a restaurant, you make a recommendation. What did you do? You made a match. If you have a hairdresser, you make a recommendation. Oh, I love, she's amazing, go see her, right? You make a match. So why don't more people do this? Like, you're doing it, and you do it business to business, and you do it for people also. But why doesn't everybody think about this? Because we do it naturally in every other area of our lives, but people feel intimidated often to do matchmaking for their friends or their family members. Oh, I don't want to upset them. I don't want
to get in the middle.
I don't want to get in the middle of their personal business. It's their personal life. Like, a lot of people have a lot of thinking about this, and it prevents them. Yes, a lot.
Have you helped potential matchmakers get rid of those barriers?
So this is a lot of the work that I'm doing. I've done it with professional matchmakers, and now I'm starting something that's called the Jewish Matchmaking movement. And the goal is to help anyone to make a match, because we all have that within us. And I think with a little bit of education, not even a lot, just a little bit of education, we can overcome the barriers of self-doubt, of feeling intimidated, of feeling unsure, of hesitating, of not keeping our eyes open, like being too narrow focused in where we are. You could talk to anybody. You could be at the grocery store and speak to somebody. You could be at the gym and speak to somebody. You should look around the world with matchmaker glasses and go, oh my gosh, wow, I didn't realize. I know so many single people. Who do I want to help? Who do I think that I could help? And I tell people, pick one guy, pick one girl, and look for each of them. Once you find their match, good, now pick a new one. And just focus on one and one. So 2 people at a time, and see if you can help them. You don't have to spend your whole life doing it. I spend my whole life doing it. Once a month, make a match suggestion. I don't think that's unreasonable. For the average person, 12 times in a year, that's pretty good.
What is the knowledge in the Torah and other Hebrew scriptures about matchmaking? Something that you can share.
So,
from a religious and spiritual standpoint.
So from a spiritual standpoint, we talk about God being the first matchmaker, right? With Adam and Eve, we see it as a first example of Adam looking around the Garden of Eden and looking at all the animals and like, well, they have each other and they have each other, and I'm not a match for any of them. Like, God, I need my partner. Where is that? And God making the first match. And after that, we see Abraham and his servant Eliezer, and he sends him out to go find a wife for his son. So, and he asks for a sign from God. God, give me a sign that this is going to be a good match. And he finds Rivka, and he's able to make his match. And so we see examples over and over again throughout the Torah about matches being made. And one of the commentaries that's discussed is like, basically, what's God been doing since creation? Like, hey, the world's created. Good. Great. What's God? Making matches. That's one of the things that we talk about, that since creation, the ongoing work that God needs to do in this world is to help bring people together and help bring those opportunities about. Wow. So it's pretty holy work. I've been told that I can work on the Sabbath because it is that type of work where bringing people together it's work, but it's spiritual work, I guess, not physical labor in the same way. And so it's not prohibited. So I don't ever get a day off. You know, like usually it says 6 days of the week, and on the 7th day on the Sabbath, you should rest, right? It's Shabbos. I get to rest, but not with matchmaking. That's always going on. I always have my eyes open. I'm always talking to people and connecting and trying to make a match.
Okay, so it happens in Jewish communities that we tend to be very within our own bubbles. For example, I grew up in the Venezuelan Jewish community, which is small, everyone knows each other, almost everyone end up marrying each other. Venezuelan Jews, and it's beautiful, but I've always been looking for more, and
something different, something a little different.
More, yes. Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
I felt very identified with like getting out of my own shtetl.
Yeah.
So I went to New York and did my master's degree, and maybe I always knew that I wouldn't marry the cookie cutter kind of model from my community, and I met Ariel, and we fell in love and married, and we're very different.
And he's not Venezuelan?
No. He's Argentinian, Mexican, and we're both Jewish and we're both aligned in the important things, but we're very different.
And you love that.
I love that. To me, diversity and stepping out of your bubble or out of your comfort zone is a great way to bring innovation. How do you come across this in your work? Do people ask you, bring me someone totally different than me? Will that be a successful marriage when you're so different? How do you see this from a matchmaking professional standpoint?
I think that differences can be healthy, and there will be differences, and I like that there's more similarities than differences. And it's so funny when you're like, he's so different, he's from Argentina and Mexico, and I'm like, you both speak Spanish as a first language, you're both Jewish, you have a similar background, like, he's not from Venezuela, like, okay. But to me, in terms of sameness, it doesn't seem very different as you're telling me the story. I'm like, oh, no,
I was very clear
sense.
that I wanted to be Jewish,
but like not Venezuelan,
Spanish.
right? But not Venezuelan. But so to me, there's so many more similarities there, which I think is great, because as a baseline, you have the same first language, right? And you really speak each other's language. And there are so many similarities, even though it's different and you did step outside of your specific community. And you met somewhere else, right? You didn't meet in South America, you met in New York.
Yeah.
So there's differences. I think that if there's too many differences, it's hard, because marriage is already hard enough. Now I'm gonna say, like, with a caveat, if there's somebody that very much, let's just make up a story, there's an American or European or something that loves South America and South America, right? And they love Spanish. They want a Latina. They love Spanish, right? They've come to learn the language. They like the culture. They like the people. And they're like, they grew up somewhere else. They are something else, but they are attracted to this. They are kind of becoming it themselves because they love it. So even though there's so many differences, because I'm becoming more similar and more like that culture and that people that I want to be a part of, so that could work. But when you have people that are really from very different cultures, and it's like, oh, you do your thing, I'll do mine. No, but in a family, it doesn't work that way. In a family, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. Okay, but when we come together for events, you want to do your thing from 9 to 5 at work. Okay, but in terms of culture and family and religion and background and future, we have to be aligned in building a future together. So I care more about a couple having a future alignment and those differences not being so different about how we want to have a vision of how we build a family, and the similarities, you know, whatever they are, but it shouldn't be that I want this kind of a future and you want that kind of a future, and that's not aligned. So I think if there are differences not in your future, it just might be differences in personality or differences in background. That's my past. But it matters more that our futures have more similarities in it.
How has been your experience with the Ashkenazi Sephardic duo? Do you embrace the mix? Does it work in terms of maybe these times are being more open to that? But
these times are more open, but for sure culturally they're very different. And again, like, depending on what the future is, so as long as you're aligned that you're going to pick one of those two customs, and it doesn't matter, one's not better, they're just different. So I think we need to, like, there has to be kind of ground rules, like, what are we going to observe in our home? Are we Ashkenazi? Are we Sephardi? What are our customs? I think you have to be able to answer these questions and not say, oh, we're whatever we want to be, we can just do anything, because when you do anything, you do nothing. And when you do have a way, and you do have a path, and you do have customs that you follow, you create routine, you create consistency, you create stability. And those things in a relationship and in a marriage and in a family are a really stabilizing factor, and they're fabulous for the couple themselves and for the children, because Customs are usually things that are habitual and they're repeated and you see every year, oh, we always do it like that. In our family, we did it like this.
Exactly.
Right? And you have to have your customs. What are they? Even if you have new ones together, but they have to be established, and you have to have a path, and you have to know who you connect to. What community do you want to be involved in, and how do you want to be affiliated? Those things are all really important.
And talking about community and diversity, and this question came from the community in Instagram, from a Tikuner, that she wanted to know if you work with someone who wants to convert. From a Jewish soul that was not born or raised Jewish, but really feels it and wants to be a part of our community. How does it work in terms of matchmaking?
So usually what we do is we have them go through the conversion process, and after that, then start to date. And the main reason for that is because we don't know what kind of a Jewish soul you're going to be. What are your customs going to be? What do you want to observe? What type of a Jewish life do you want to live?
And it's better that individually this person figures it out on their own.
Must.
Before living through it with a couple. I completely agree.
But you need to know, who am I? Because if you're this type of a Jew, you'll match somebody here. And if you're this type of a Jew, you'll match somebody here. And if you're this type of a Jew, you'll match somebody here. And we can't make a good match unless you're clear. And if you go and you meet somebody and then you just do what they want, it might not be a match for who you are. You're just doing somebody else's thing, and we need to be very clear and intentional to take care of yourself and nurture your relationship so that we know who you are and who you want to be in that relationship. And we just need you to be very clear first. So I like people that are in the process of conversion. Do it. Finish the process. Yes? Okay, now, who are you? What kind of a Jewish person are you? What kind of things do you want to observe? Who do you want to be? Who would be a smart and a good match for you? And then they could answer that.
That makes the most sense, because we in the Jewish community are so diverse that you need some clarity.
Must.
Right. So speaking about Neshamas and the Jewish soul, and we always talk about, my soulmate. I want to find my soulmate. You know, it looks like a fairy tale and like a romance movie that everything's perfect. And when it comes from above, I use a lot the word bashert. And it's my grandma, who is very Yiddish. And she, when she met Ariel, she told me, he's your bashert. And you have this illusion and fantasy that it's your soulmate and everything's going to be flowing and it's going to be perfect. How do you reconcile that with the fact that your soulmate, or the match that was made in heaven, it's actually a means for your personal growth and to go through your own challenges and your own correction, your own tikkun as an individual, and then to navigate it as a couple?
So I think the word perfect is very
imperfect.
I would say that your soulmate is perfectly imperfect for you. They're exactly who they need to be for exactly who you are and what the two of you need to accomplish in this world. So your soulmate, let's break down the word in English. Soulmate, right? Soul is that spiritual side. Mate is that life partner in this world. So the spiritual side, you have this soulmate that is here that's intended for you, and there's the potential for you to meet and to get married. And the mating part, the bringing them together, you have free will. You have choice. And that's a very Jewish and spiritual concept, that everything isn't just predetermined. We have free will and the ability to choose our path and to choose our person. And in that moment that you pick him and he picks you and you say, yes, we want to get married, you're still potential soulmates. In the moment you get married, boom, there's the moment of soulmate, where it's the spiritual and the physical coming together in this world. Under the chuppah, and you walk around 7 times, and that's the binding and bringing of the two neshamot and the souls together. And that's that moment of soulmate.
Seeing the soulmate from that point of view. And it brings me to the last question, which is also from the soul. What is the soul advice that you would give to the tikkuners, the people that are listening, that are looking to connect and to materialize their tikkun from a professional, personal, and spiritual standpoint?
I think the best thing for anyone is to date themselves. Get to know yourself. Who are you personally, professionally, spiritually, with friends, with family members? What is your purpose? What is your tikkun? What are you supposed to be doing in this world? What do you love to do? What brings you joy? What brings you happiness? What do you focus on? What are you thinking about? You go to bed at night, you think about this. You wake up in the morning, you're thinking about this. What are those things that live within you? And as you recognize that, that starts to become this awareness that that's a part of your tikkun, that's a part of your fixing and everything that you're supposed to be doing in this world, and it helps to prepare that path for you.
That's beautiful, dating yourself. Those questions that you ask in that first date, ask them to you.
Exactly.
Yourself. So beautiful. Thank you so much, Aleeza.
Thank you for having me.
It's been an honor and so fun to speak with you, to get to know you better, and to learn so much from you. And I hope everyone also enjoyed this conversation. And till the next time, hope you have a great time in Mexico.
Thank you.